Hi all, welcome back. My name is Kriti Tiwari and today we are going to talk about shadows, right? So, what is the importance of shadows? Why do we need to work on shadows? And shadows are not mostly like single color. That's the misconception that I have seen across, like a lot of people assuming that just make the shadow black and it does work. So, it's not like that. But before we dive into all these, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, forward to your friends and who would be basically beneficial from these classes that I'm doing. Okay, so to make the shadows, we want to make a round. So we are starting with a sphere, and I couldn't find anything better than this. So this is the object that I'm using, and yes, okay. So this is my circle. Like we'll be converting this to a sphere. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to make 3D objects on a 2D paper. Now perspective, right? So that's very important. Now how do we do that and what is the difference? How do we analyze such things, right? So we're gonna take some real examples over here and we'll go ahead from there. Okay, so we're gonna learn from this. So let's say this is my torch that I have put on, and I'll take this candle to explain you. So let's see that the light is falling on the candle, right? So the light is falling from this angle, so this side, so on the left side the light is falling from the left side, and this is what the shadow candle is, right? So the shadow that is darker over here and then it is spreading across. Even that this lid, right, has a shadow over here which is happening, and then there are multiple rims over here, and that's what is, right? And then this is the transparent part of the candle. Let's see if I touch it here, right? See, this is the glass part, it doesn't have anything, and hence that empty area over here. Okay, so this is all the candle because it is lit. Now talk about anything else. So let's say this tube, right? This tube is basically nothing but a cylindrical object, right? So see how the shadow is moving when I'm moving my light source as well. So it depends upon, and the shadow is elongated, right? It is elongated, depends upon from where the light is falling. Let's say that I change the light position, it's on the top, it's like this, and if I keep it further, so it's just too elongated, right? So this depends how the light is falling. Okay, so now let's say that we have to assume certain aspects over here, as in for this particular sphere where the light is coming from. Okay, so for this particular exercise, let's take an example that the light is falling from this direction. So my light source, so this is my light source, this is my light source. So how this sphere will work? So this is a concept that, and I think it would be better if we understand in the concept first. So let's say that this is my sphere, right? So sphere will have couple of things. So if my light source is falling from here, it will have this particular area which is called as highlight. Okay, then it will have this circle which is called as your midtone. Okay, then you have another circle which is your core shadow, like this is the darkest part of your object. Then this portion would be reflected light, and then so this is not that big, I just made it big, it's just very small thin area. Okay, then if the light is coming here and it's gonna cast shadow, right, for your object. So let's say this is the shadow it is casting here, basically this is the reflected light. So this is called as cast shadow. Okay, so this is what your terms are, and we have to remember while doing this. So I'm gonna keep it here for you to keep that in mind, and I'm gonna do a very small circle with a light pencil, so it is not very dark, and you know where the light source is, and then what we have to do. Okay, so let's say, and for this one I will use what color? So I'm gonna still make use of paint gray for today, or should I do a different color? Okay, let me take a different color. So I'll make use of cerulean blue. Okay, so we'll do this with cerulean blue. So the darkest form of cerulean blue I'm using. Okay, but before that I also want to wet my sphere. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. So I'm wetting my sphere. and it will start looking like a sphere in some time. So just have patience, follow along, or I'll recommend better that you just check out the video first, right? Understand how it is being done, and then you can start doing on the second round. That will give you a little bit of edge and perspective as in how things are done, and then you can start your own. Okay, so let's say that now I have wet my sphere. I'm gonna just do this, right? Okay, and I'm gonna wash my brush. So you remember tonal value that we did, right, in the other class is also applicable over here. So the tonal value that we talked about, right? So I have washed my brush and I'll just do this. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling the paint in now. So I'm just pulling the paint in. Okay. So lightest. So this is what is happening, and gradually the color is becoming light. It started with the dark shade, darkest form of that color, right? And then it is going light right now. Okay, this is all light. Okay, and then I don't want to keep any hard edge over here, so what I'll do, I'll just smoothen it out. Okay, what is smoothening? When I say soften it out or smoothen it out, what I'm exactly doing is, so let's say that this is your line, right, done by watercolor. Now it has hard edges on both the sides, and if I do water from one side, see how the color flows, right? So the edge on this side has become soft now. It is more soft, right? This is hard edge and this is soft edge. So whenever I say softening, I mean this. Okay, so this is softening. And I still want to make the border more dark. Okay, so let's see. So I'll do this, making it more dark. Okay. So now if you make a portrait, right, your eyeball is a sphere. If you make a flower, you can consider that as a sphere, and then see how the petals should be. So the inner petals are dark, the outer petals are light. So you just study an object as in how it will be, and then you start making it. So for example, you are making a lemon, you are painting an apple, right? So a lot of those things. So these beginner stuff will be handy every time you do something. Okay, so the core concepts, so make yourself like too familiar with the core concepts, and you can do anything. Okay, so now this is done. Now my this particular light source is here, so this is casting shadow here, right? So what we'll do, we'll make the shadow here. So shadow is nothing but an elongated circle, which is nothing but an oval shape, right? So yeah, so this is the shadow. Now what I'll do is I will be mixing cerulean blue with the paints gray in order to make the cast shadow, and I'll tell you the reason why, and I'll show you once we do this. I'll show you with an example. Okay, so this is done. And now I will just be pulling the paint away, like the cast shadow, right? Paint away to make a cast shadow. This, like this. Okay. So this is our cast shadow. And we always have to remember the edge, right? The edge of the cast shadow is the darkest part. It's the darkest part. Okay. It's the darkest part. Okay. So this is our cast shadow. Now sometimes reflected light is visible very nicely, and sometimes it is not visible. What I'm doing is I am just lifting some color from the edge here at the bottom to make reflected light. Okay, see, something like this. Do it very carefully. We don't want this shadow color to like go upwards. Okay, and for that, if you want to lift your paper, do that. Okay, so this is done. So see the same thing that we have learned, right? So highlight, mid-tone, core shadow, reflected light, and then cast shadow. Okay. So now if I like pick this object and then see this sphere, I can see that it's in the 3D form, right? And it's looking actually like a ball which is kept on the surface. So it's actually looking 3D. Okay. So there's another one that we can try. So we have cylinder and then we have cone. So we have 3 things, right? We can try any one of them. So cylinder and cone basically go similar. So I'm gonna show you how to do cylinder, and then cone you guys can do from yourself, and then maybe share with me, ask me any doubts if you have. We'll just do cylinder quickly. Okay. Okay, this is done. I think I hope you got it. So the very basic example of this would be, right? So let's say that how do I explain you? Okay, for example, let's say this plant, right? If you want to make this plant, the here, right, in the planter area that you don't see, it's dark, right? And see the light is falling from this candle over here. I don't know if you can see, but what is the color of the light that is falling over here? The candle is pink or reddish shade, right? So the reflection of that object is also red in shade. Similarly, if this candle is casting a shadow, right? Similarly, if this candle is casting a shadow, so let's say that I'll put on the light again. Okay. This candle is casting the shadow, right? Casting the shadow. It is basically reflecting the color of the candle. Okay. And let me just switch it off. Right, see, right? How it makes a difference, as in how the light is falling. It really makes a huge difference. Okay, so let's do a sphere now. Sorry, not sphere. Do a cylinder now. Okay, so we'll draw a cylinder. Okay, and then I'm gonna divide this cylinder into 5 parts. And my cylinder is so much out of shape. Let me just correct it quickly. Okay, so this is my cylinder. Okay, and I'm gonna divide this into 5 parts. 1, 2, 4 and 5. Okay, so this is 5 parts, and now again we have to decide where the light is coming on this cylinder. Okay, so we did light from this side on the sphere, so we'll do light from this side. So this is my light source. So my light is coming from this side, so right. Right. So because my light is coming from right, I'll have a shadow here. Right. I have a shadow here, and my shadow will be basically elongated and will go out of the paper. Okay, so that's our shadow. Now for the part inside, right, it's gonna go exactly opposite to what happens on the front, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's see that this is my mid-tone. This is my mid-tone. This is my mid-tone. Okay, and I'll just reduce the size of this. I think the size is too much. So what I'll do is I'll adjust the size. Okay, I think the size is going just too much, too weird for the perspective. It will not work out. So let me just see. So I say that this is the mid-tone. This is the mid-tone. This is the highlight. This is the mid-tone again. You have shadow, and then this reflected. Okay, I think this is good. Okay, so then you have this is your core shadow, and this is your reflected light. Okay, this is your cast shadow. This is your cast shadow, and this is my highlight. Okay, and then here what will happen is, so my highlight, right, where my highlight was, it becomes, for inside it becomes my core shadow. Where I had the core shadow, it becomes my highlight, and the other areas remain mid-tone and reflected light. So this is my reflected light, this is mid-tone. Okay, that's how it will work. Now let's take a color, and before we take a color, so for this one I'm not wetting it. I don't prefer wetting it. It will not work out to how to explain you guys, right? So I find it easy if we're not wetting this one. Okay, so for this one I'm gonna use paint spray. Okay, so what I'm doing is, because it is a highlight, this is the darkest part, right? So I'm gonna start with my darkest part, the core shadow. So this is my core shadow. This is my core shadow, right? So I'm gonna fill the whole thing with my core shadow. Take some water so that it is easy for you to paint. You don't have to use paint spray, you can use anything green, red, blue, any shade, right? And then try this out. Okay, so this is done. Now I'm gonna wash my brush and take a mid-tone and drag this color, right? So I will be dragging this color. Okay, here wash my brush, and again softly, right? I told you about softly. So we are dragging it. Okay, and then we do this from here as well. Okay, like this. Okay, and then I have to do mid-tone here as well. This is also my mid-tone. This is also my mid-tone. This is also my mid-tone. Okay, and we talked about that we don't want any hard edges, so just clean water, dab it on, just smoothen it out. So what I'm doing, I'm just smoothing out. I don't want any hard edges. Sorry, wait. So just smoothing it out. Okay. This is still my highlight. Okay, this is still my highlight. See. Okay, so I've just smoothened it out. Now for this one, what we have to do, I told you we have to do exact opposite of what we did, right? Ulta ekdam. So I will be casting shadow here So my core shadow here. Core shadow. Shadow, and then drag the color. Similarly, drag the color on this side. And then drag the color this side. Okay, and make sure it's not basically smudging, and then color on this area as well. And then same thing, smoothen it out. So again we have to smoothen, soften it. Okay, when I smoothen it out, soften it, soften it. Okay, that's it, right? So now when you look from the top, it looks like a tumbler, like a glass or tumbler that you're holding. And then we have to make some shadows over here as well, right? So let's say and work towards making our shadow. Okay, so for making the shadow, I'm just wetting this area. And yeah, because it is all paint spray, we'll be using paint spray only to make the shadow. But yeah, you always remember that shadow is not gray, but it is more than that, right? So you have to look the light which it is reflecting, color of the object through which the light is getting reflected. So for example, take a rubber ball or something which is like translucent in color, pass a light through that ball and you will see that it is casting shadow of that color, right? So it is very important to carefully observe the color of the shadow, and I can do another detailed lesson only on that. But if you try to search, you will get a lot of resources which talks about shadow, and majority of the artists do that thing wrong, that they just only will put like paints gray for the shadow. Okay, now I will just work towards making it a bit darker at the edge. Right? We talked about this, we know this. We have done the similar thing in sphere. See? Okay. Perfect. And now, ta-da! It looks like a 3D object. Right? See how much difference it makes, right? Simple few basic things and it makes like wonders. It makes a huge difference as in how we want to do it. Okay, so that's your glass and you can hold it basically. And this is your sphere. Okay. The only one thing that I would still like to do on this one is, like, if you have a white gel pen or white gouache, just separate this out with a line, with a white line, right? If you have lost that edge, then I recommend you doing that. I'll show you by doing through gouache color. I hope you have enjoyed this one. The cone one is exactly the same as cylinder one. You have to still divide the cone into 5 parts and do exactly same that we have done, right? So if you have any doubt, let me know. And I hope that you have enjoyed the lesson. Share with your friends, hit that subscribe button, and let me know in the comment section what you will like to learn next. Right? So this edge makes all the difference. Okay, now you can see. Okay, so that's it for this particular lesson. I hope it was very helpful to you in all aspects. So we have done both the things. So we have done sphere and we have done this cylinder, right? And I have written everything over here. For the sphere one also, I've highlighted something like this. If you want, I will just mention this on the paper as well for you. So this is your shadow, cast shadow, this is your core shadow, this is your mid-tone, this is your highlight, and this is your reflected light. Okay, so that's it. Thanks everyone for joining. See you in my next class. I hope you have enjoyed all the lessons. Everything about the materials and other of my social media channels, I've listed everything on my description box. Please make sure that you comment, hit like and subscribe to my channel. See you next time in another class. Bye.